the recording. Sweet. Okay, and we'll start with an assessment using our chairs. And the assessment is going to be some squats. So you'll want to stand with your feet hips distance apart. And what that means is if you find your hip bones, ASIS, it's just like a little bit inside of that. That's where you want the inside of your femur bone. Okay. And then from here, go ahead and just whatever. If I told you to take a squat, let your butt touch the chair, find that squat, stand yourself right back up. Yep. And just, you can, if it feels safe to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. And I want you just to notice what you feel here. Where do you feel mobile? Where do you feel stiff? And what muscles do you feel working? And we'll just do a couple of these. Okay, go ahead and try to go 3 more. And 1 more time. Okay, nice. Everyone have a pretty good idea to that, like what that felt like in their body, right? If you had to write a sentence, I felt this felt like it was moving too much kind of situation. Okay, great. So now we're going to work from the bottom of our kinetic chain so that hopefully by the end of class, when we squat again, it will feel a little bit different, a little bit more powerful. So we're going to start with the feet, and this is where I want you to have your towel. You can take a seat on your chair. Okay. And you're going to bring that towel behind one of your feet, doesn't matter which one. When you're in this position here, you just want to make sure your core is engaged so that you're not hanging off of your sacrum or your low back. And you're just going to start to shimmy the towel on the bottom of your foot as if you are drying it off. And keep doing that. I'm just going to let this last person in. Okay. Great. And do make sure you are getting underneath the toe pads and then really giving yourself a nice massage at the balls of the feet, up into the arch, side of the foot. And then you could bring the toes down and start to massage the heel. The heel is where your tissue is the thickest, so it's actually a little bit challenging to feel. Hi, Samyukta. Good to see you. Okay, nice. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come to the top of the foot and you're going to give that a rub. And you want to get the side of the ankle, like both sides of the ankle, top of the front of the ankle. And then go ahead and just come up your shin. Most of the muscles on the front of the shin are to the side. So onto the lateral side. So making sure you're getting that. And then you can come to the back. And for the back, you'll just shimmy down the back of the calf muscles there. Okay, nice. And then go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So start with that towel underneath the foot as if you're drying it off. And this is kind of nice because I took my socks off and my feet are cold, and this is starting to warm them up. This will help to encourage blood flow. So getting underneath the toe pads, balls of the feet into the arch, bring the toes down and make sure you're getting the heel too. Okay, then you'll switch it so you come to the top of the toes. And I'm just going side to side, front of the ankle, sides, right? Both of those ankle bones. And then coming up the front, remember more of the musculature is on that side. And then you'll come down the back, really going side to side. Okay, great. All right, now I'm gonna face y'all. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna work on is movement at the ankle. So when we squat and we are bending the knees, bending the hips, and bending the ankles. Oh, you can put your towel off to the side. What's also happening is movement in the bones of the feet and the ankle. So when we squat, there's a little bit of pronation that happens, which means that the arch is going to flatten. And that's not a bad thing. Pronation is a healthy movement if we can control it. And then when we stand ourselves up straight from the squat, a little bit of supination occurs, which is also a healthy movement, but we want to be able to control it. So we're going to do that now, which is when we're not propelling ourselves through walking. It's called everting and inverting of the foot and the ankle. Supination and pronation refer more towards when you're creating force. So what I'm going to do is bring your hands onto your thighs. Okay. And you'll start by letting your inner arches collapse down towards the floor, like you're trying to pick up the pinky toes and the pinky toe pad. You'll feel more weight through the inner heel. The outer heels are lifting. You'll feel a squeeze through the outside of your calves. Okay, this is what's called eversion of the ankle. Okay, now you're going to let your foot come back through the center. Okay, feeling that weight through big toe ball, pinky toe ball, center of the heel. And now you're going to try to keep your big toes down, but pick the big toe ball up. Like you're trying to reach the big toe balls to look at each other. And now the pinky toe side of your foot is really going to come down. The outer portion of your ankles are going to stretch. Okay, this is inversion of the ankle. Now go ahead and you can find center again, big toe ball, pinky toe ball, center heel. And then we'll evert again. So letting the outer portion of the ankle squeeze, almost like you're trying to show the bottom of your foot to the right and the left side of the room, feeling that pressure down into the big toe ball, big toe pad, inner heel, and then come back through the center. Feel that tripod of your foot. And also notice here that when you're centered with your feet, the femurs are centered, and that's important in the squat mechanics as well. Okay, then you'll start to pick up the inner portion of your arch, letting the sides of your foot come down, almost like the soles of the feet are trying to look at each other. Notice what happens with your thighs. Okay, we'll do that a couple more times. Come back through the center. Notice what happens to the thighs. Then you'll start to evert, so tipping into the inside of the foot, letting the outer ankle squeeze, which is important. So the outer ankle muscles, the peroneals, they help to control the degree of pronation. And then coming back through the center, and then inverting again, finding the lateral portion of your foot, turning the undersides of your feet to face each other. Notice how that really picks up the arches. Okay, that's going to manage the degree of supination here. Great. And then go ahead and find center with your feet again. Okay, nice. Now from there, we're also going to work the ankle extensors and ankle flexors with what's called foot spine. So I'm just going to change my view again so you can see it, because it's a better view like this. I'm going to start with my right heel forward. My right knee is bent. Okay, my ankle is very flexed. Okay, from here, I'm going to start by curling my toenails down towards the floor, which is not a crinkling of my toes. My toes are still very long, but I'm arcing at the balls of my feet, transverse arch. Okay. Then from there, I'm going to continue squeezing the balls of my feet, that transverse arch, and let that squeeze up into the medial arch and the lateral arch to curl the foot to tap the toenails on the floor. Okay, again, this is not a crinkling of the toes. If anything, it's a crinkling of your arches. If your foot feels like it's cramping a little bit, not a bad thing. Okay, if you can feel that up into your calf, good thing. Okay, calf muscles help with this plantar flexion. All right, then from here, you're going to flex the ankle by picking up the top of your foot. The toenails are still reaching down. Ankle flexion is part of the squat, and we need that flexion in order to connect into the feet so it resonates up into the hip. Then I'm going to pick up the big knuckles. And then from there, start to let the toes pick up, toenails back up towards the ceiling. Your major ankle flexors are on this lateral side of your shin. So if you're feeling those muscles really turned on, that's a good thing. We're going to do that one more time on this side. So start to arc the long toes forwards so that the toenails are pointing down towards the floor. You're going to feel that squeeze along the balls of the feet, and you'll feel or see the knuckles pick up into the skin. If the knuckles are turning white right now, that's a good thing. And then continue feeling that squeeze from your transverse arch to your medial arch into your lateral arch to touch the toenails onto the floor. Okay, once the toenails touch the floor, if you feel that up into the back of your calf, good sign. Okay, then you're going to flex the ankle by picking up the top of your foot. You'll feel that stretch the calves, right? You'll feel that squeeze that side of your shin. And then feel the knuckles start to really pick up so that you can then pick the toes up. Toenails will reach up towards the ceiling. A lot of ankle flexion happening. Good. And then go ahead and relax, kind of shake out this foot, shake out this leg. Okay. And then let's do the other side. All right. So now I'm on my left side. My heel is down, starting in that ankle flexion, feeling that through the lateral portion of the shin. Start to arc the toes forwards, keeping them long, toenails down towards the floor. If you see the knuckles, the big knuckles get white up into the top of your foot, good sign. Feel that squeeze of your transverse arch. Work up into the medial arch and the lateral arch to arc the toenails to touch the floor. If you feel that start to come up into your calf a little bit, good thing. Flex the ankle again now, okay? You're continuing to feel the squeeze of the arches. And then when you pick up the knuckles, the big knuckles to start to straighten the toes, you'll lose that squeeze of your arches. Okay, one more time like that. Toes go forwards, toenails reach towards the floor. Toes try to stay long. Squeeze the transverse arch, squeeze the medial and the lateral arch, touch the toenails to the floor. All right, again, if your foot is cramping, not a bad thing, right? We want to work those intrinsic muscles of your feet, okay? Then from here, flex the ankle to pick the top of the foot up. Try to pick up those balls of the feet. And then finally pick the toes up. Toenails will reach up towards the ceiling. Okay, nice. And then you can go ahead and shake that out, shake that out. Okay, excellent. So all we've done there is connect into the feet, intrinsic muscles and the extrinsic muscles. Go ahead and stand yourself up. Okay, and then look down. Feet are side by side in parallel, hip distance apart. Feel the big toe ball. Feel the pinky toe ball. Feel the heel. And then I want you to imagine that the floor underneath you is trying to rise up. But so you have to actively push down through your warmed up feet. When you do that, it should give you this sense of lift through your whole body, which is important in the downward phase of the squat. So now when you go to squat, stay pushing down into your feet, which will give you a sense of lift, which means now you're better able to control yourself down into gravity using muscle instead of hanging off joints. Okay. Do a couple of squats here with the idea that you're pushing down as if you're trying to stand up, even as you go to squat. That's right. Nice. Okay, good. 2 more just like that. 1 more. Push the floor away. Okay, nice, cool. And just notice, thumbs up, did that feel different from the first time that we did our little assessment? Yeah, great. We'll keep building on it. So even if you're like, oh, that kind of felt the same, we got more stuff to work on. Okay, so now we'll keep working up. We're going to come to the knees. We're going to come back to seated. Okay, great. All right, so this one's nice if you're able to kind of hold on to the side of your chair. It looks like everybody has that capability, because what I don't want is we're gonna straighten the knee, but what I don't want is when you straighten the knee for that to push you into your back. So being able to hold on is helpful. Okay, so from here, you're going to flex your right hip to float the right foot off of the floor. Now, find your bird on a perch here. So long toes, toenails pointing down, arch picking up. That's going to give you a more supportive chain of foot up into your hip. Then from here, the muscles that straighten the knee are above the kneecap. You're going to try to straighten that knee out in front of you without pushing into your back. Yep, that's right. Good. You're going to feel your core really have to turn on to do this. Then you're going to bend the knee and slowly start to let that foot come back down. Okay, now that's hard. If you don't get your knee all the way straight, don't worry about it. Do what you can. Okay, use the chair to help. All right, so we'll go again. Float the foot up just a little bit. Find your bird on a perch, right? Long toes, toenails down, squeeze all of your arches. And then as you go to straighten the leg, imagine you can feel the arch thread up into your kneecap, up into your hip socket here. Okay, good. And then from there, you'll slowly bend to lower the foot back down. If you're feeling that up into your hip, that's a real thing. Okay, you're coming into pretty deep hip flexion. The more you can feel your belly really scooping and lifting, the more it'll offload the small hip flexors and get you into the big one. Okay, we'll do that 1 more time. Okay, so you'll float the foot off, squeeze the bottom of the chain so it picks up into the next aspect. Okay, and then the reason why I'm doing it this way is because we're straightening the leg up into gravity, we have to shorten and use muscle. You have to use the low quad in order to straighten here. Now, what I want you to do here is just let your foot drop. Yep. Okay, great, right? You just let gravity bend the knee. You let gravity bring your foot down. Okay, we're going to do that 1 more time. So pick your foot up. Find your bird on a perch, just to give you some activation through the foot. Think about sliding the kneecap up. That's the way that this joint works. The quads go over the kneecap and attach to the tibia. And then as you straighten, the kneecap slides up into the squeeze of your lower quads. Okay, now let gravity bend the knee, bring the foot down. Drop. Okay, now that is the downward phase of the squat that we're trying to avoid. We don't want to go down into gravity with gravity. We want to go down into gravity with control. So we'll do that 1 more time on this right side, and then we'll switch to the left. Float your right foot up. Find your bird on a perch. Feel your kneecap slide up. And as the kneecap slides up, the femur bone plugs into the socket, And you want your spine and your pelvis to support this position. So you're going to feel your core. Now, the slower you bend the knee, the more you keep it in the muscle that straightened it. So can you bend the knee, tap the heel, don't rest, straighten the knee right back. Okay, do that a few times. Slowly bend. Feel the bend being controlled by the quad. And then straighten, feel the straightening being controlled by the quad. Slowly bend, and then let your foot come down, rest. Okay, and you can kind of shake it out if you felt that up into your quad. I definitely feel it too. Okay, yep, exactly. Shake it out, shake it out. All right, now we'll do that same thing on the left side. Okay, so float your left foot up, squeeze the arch, toenails are down. I know really it's all three of your arches, transverse, medial, lateral. Okay, and then you can hold onto the chair so that when you bend, when you straighten the leg, it doesn't push you back. Okay, so you'll start to straighten the leg, feel the kneecap lift, low quads turn on, slowly bend the knee to lower the foot back down. One more just like that. Pick the foot up, squeeze the arch, feel your quads straighten. This is the upward phase of the squat when you're straightening your legs. Downward phase of the squat is trying to stay in the muscle to bend the knee. Okay. 2 where we just let it go. So you'll straighten, feel the kneecap lift, and then let gravity move you. Right? Okay. One more time. Pick the foot up, find your bird on a perch, lift the kneecap, feel those low quads. Gravity. Okay. Two more with control. All right. That's the theme for today, right? With control. So pick your foot up, find your bird on a perch, straighten the left leg without impacting your back, similar to a squat. Control the knee bend from the same muscles that straightened it. Tap the heel, straighten it right back out. Good. Control, tap, and then rest. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Okay, nice job. All right, now go ahead, grab your towel. We're going to come down onto the floor for a second to talk about knees again. Okay, so you'll just come onto your back here. Okay, and then bring that towel underneath your knees. Okay, legs are in towards your body. Okay, now here, you can be in this position totally relaxed because gravity is flexing the knees. Gravity is extending the ankle. Gravity is also flexing the hips. Okay. But what really bends the back of the knees are the low hamstrings and the upper calves. So hold on to the sides of your towel, and then I want you to actively try to squeeze the towel with the backs of the knees as if you're trying to pull your heels to your butt. It's helpful to point the toenails, extend the top of the ankle, and then again, try to pull the heels towards your butt. And then you can feel muscles bending the knee past the range that gravity can, right? This is strength over flexibility. And then go ahead and relax, let it go. Okay, and we'll do that a few times. Point the toenails down, squeeze that towel with the backs of your knees. You're feeling the upper calf and the low hamstring. And the more you point the toenails, the bigger effect you'll get. Because remember, the feet impact everything up the chain. All right, now, can you slowly release the squeeze instead of just letting it all go at once. Okay, we'll do that again. Squeeze the towel. Feel that upper calf, lower hamstring, point the toes. You'll feel that in the lower calf. You'll feel that in the arch of the foot. Okay, now pay attention to the feeling of just letting it go. Let it go. One more time. Squeeze, point the toes. Let that help you bend the knees more. All right, whole backs of my thighs are pretty on fire. Now, slowly, and pay attention to the feeling, slowly stop squeezing the towel with control. Okay, now, since we're down here, we're going to come into hundreds. It is Pilates, got to do hundreds. You're now going to squeeze the towel with the backs of the knees, reach the arm up towards the ceiling. Okay, let your thighs move away from you enough to where now you have to really use your muscles to squeeze the towel, because if you didn't have muscles, the knees would just open and the towel would drop. Your pelvis is still in a curl. Curl the head, neck, chest up and forwards. Point the toenails down. Try to pull the heels towards your hips. The whole back line of your thighs should be very on, and it should come up into your belly. Start to pump your arms up and down. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. Really active feet, everybody. That is awesome. Good. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, squeeze the towel, right? This is an isometric contraction of your knee flexors. Great. We have 3 more big breaths. One more. Excellent. Now keep the squeeze of the towel. Let your head come down. Let the knees pull into the chest enough to where gravity is bending the knees. You don't have to squeeze the towel to keep it behind the knees. Okay. Now from here, we're going to come into some toe taps just to work the back of the knee a little bit more. So toes are going to point down, heels are lifted, or feet impact the whole rest of the chain. Now let your thighs come to, or your hip joint, I should say, come to 90 degrees. Now you have to actively squeeze the towel to not let it drop. Let your pelvis come into neutral as well, which means your low back is an extension, not flexion, right? Low back is off of the mat, just in a natural curve. Okay, now from here, squeeze the towel and then start to let the toes go down towards the floor. You're going to tap the toenails on the floor, controlling what your pelvis and your lumbar spine are doing. And then you're going to fold the legs back up, pull the quads over the belly, get to the point where you don't have to actively squeeze the towel. Okay. Then let the thighs come back to 90, which is where you have to actively squeeze. Dive the toenails down, tap the toes, squeeze the towel, and then pull the legs back up to the place where you can let gravity flex your hips, flex your knees. Okay. One more time, just like that. Let the hip joint come to 90, where you have to squeeze the towel, point the toenails, drop the toenails down. Now you're controlling what's happening through your pelvis and your spine. Tap the toenails, pull the legs back up, and then get to the place where you can, right, basically come into a squat on your back and you're just into gravity. Okay, good. And then go ahead, take that towel out from behind the knees. Nice. And then let it come back. Okay, so let's come back to standing with the chair. And we're going to try to connect more pieces. So you have your nice, strong feet, hips distance apart, feeling big toe ball, pinky toe ball, center of your heel. Okay, you're standing upright, which means that your knee extensors, your low quads, are working. If you didn't have them, you would fall to the ground. All right. From here, you'll start to push down into the feet as if you're pushing the floor away. That encourages more lift of your kneecap from your low quads. And then you're going to start to slowly bend the knees into gravity, which means that you're trying not to just drop, but you're feeling that eccentric lengthening of your low quads. You're also managing how much your arch flattens by pushing into your feet. Now, my butt's touching the chair, but it's hovering. I haven't relaxed. Okay. Now, stand down through your feet. Push yourself back up to straight. Pull the kneecaps up. Okay. Nice job. All right. We're going to just do that 2 more times. This next time, we're going to let ourselves sit fully, but wait for my cue. Okay, push the floor away. That gives you a lift of the kneecaps. Control the bend of the knee. You're not letting your low quads relax. They are slowing your knee flexion down. You're also slowing your arches flattening. The butt is barely touching the floor. At any point, I could cue you to stand up. You'd stand right back up. Now here, relax. Take a seat. Notice what happens. Notice how around the knee area goes a little slack. Notice how perhaps the feet got a little bit lighter on the floor. We're now seated into gravity. Okay, let your body come forwards enough so you can feel your feet push back down. Okay, and you'll start to pull yourself up to straight. Pushing down to help pull the kneecaps all the way up. And then rest. Nice. Okay, now we got to work up to the hips here. Let's come back down onto the floor. Nice. Okay, we're going to use our towels. Okay, so here, just laying on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor, we're essentially in the downward phase of the squat, right? Hips are flexed, except here it's relaxed. Gravity is flexing your hips. So that means if we extend the hips up and against gravity, it requires muscle. So what you're going to do is have your towel hold both ends. You're going to place it on your thighs wherever your arms are straight. You're going to curl the pelvis here. It's going to flex the lumbar spine. And then you're going to start to hip extend. Push down into your feet. Remember, that's going to give you something up the chain. We want it to give you your glutes. Start to feel your hips lift off. The towel is giving you some resistance in addition to gravity. So you push the towel down so that you have to use muscle to pick your thighs up, to pick your pelvis up. And what muscle am I talking about? Glute max, right? Big butt cheeks here. Now, it's not that your butt cheeks are squeezed together. So if you feel like you're really squeezing around your butthole, let that go. Reinvest into the push down into your feet and feel your butt cheeks plumped up next to each other. You'll also feel your upper hamstrings. And with your spine lifted, Can you feel your abdominals holding your rib cage and spine inside of your body instead of splayed up towards the ceiling? Okay, now go ahead and lower halfway down, like you're sitting into a chair. Pause, right? The slow lower down, the control into gravity is that eccentric lengthening that's coming from your glutes and your hamstrings still. Now from here, let your butt drop to the floor. Okay, gravity took you down, no muscle required. All right, let's do that again. Push your towel into your thighs, curl the pelvis, push down into your feet like the floor is coming up and you're pushing it away. That should tone your glutes. Take that tone to push the thighs up into the resistance of the towel. Feeling the pelvis pick up. And as more of your hips extend, more of the muscle turns on through the back of the hip. And then you have to be conscious of holding your abs so that your ribs don't flare and your spine doesn't punch up. Okay, now, nice and slowly sit back halfway. Feel how your glutes and your hamstrings are controlling the speed of hip flexion. And then could you continue to hip flex until you feel your butt gently against the floor. You haven't relaxed. We have not sat down. You should still feel tone through your glutes and your hamstrings so that as I ask you to pick yourself right back up, you're not starting from zero. You were idling. You come up, you feel that very clear shortening of your glutes and your hamstrings and your abdominals. Sit down halfway, control, right? You can let the butt cheeks spread and still feel your butt cheeks working. Now here, relax to the floor, drop. Yes, okay, right? We fall into gravity. It's not very good. Okay, one more time, just like that. Push the towel into the thighs, curl the pelvis, push down into your feet. Don't let yourself lift until you feel feet to the floor, glutes plump, right? It's a little algorithm there. Once you feel your glutes plump, then you can start to lift the thighs up into the pressure of the towel. Feel your glutes continue to plump next to each other. No butt cheek squeeze. Continue feeling big toe pad, big toe ball, pinky toe ball, center of your heel. Abdominals are preventing the spine from punching up into the belly. All right. Then from here, slowly sit the hips back, controlling the speed of your hip flexion. Continue pushing your feet into the floor. You're going to tap the butt down and then drive yourself right back up. Upward phase of the squat. Control the down. Downward phase of the squat. Stay pushed into your feet. Tap the butt, pick yourself right back up. So we haven't let your hip extensors turn off for at least two of these. Sit the hips back, control the speed. We have 5. Tap, push into your feet, pick yourself right back up. Check in here. Are you squeezing your butt cheeks together or are you standing into your feet, letting that go up past the knees to your hips? 2 more. Sit the hips back, control, tap, drive yourself up, feet to hips. 1 more time. Sit the hips back, right? If you feel like, man, I don't feel my knees at all, that's a really good thing. This is coming from that foot to hip connection. Drive the hips up. Okay, nice job. Now, From here, we're going to move from the spine. So you keep your hips lifted from your hip extensors. Start to let your spine soften down, vertebra by vertebra. As your spine comes down, the hips are controlling into flexion. Pelvis is the last thing to touch, but stay controlled. So my pelvis is touching, but I haven't let anything turn off. Let your pelvis come into a neutral. You're still pushed into your feet. And then once I cue you to relax, it should feel like you just sat down into a chair, no control. Okay, nice job. Cool. Okay, go ahead and let that towel come off to the side. All right, and then we want the spine to be dynamic in a squat. So we're going to do roll up now to get the spine moving around, and so we can mentally connect to what it means to control the spine. Okay, so ankles are flexed, heels are pressed down. That's going to give you put you back up into your hips. Reach your arms out towards the sides of the room. Okay, close your eyes. So in this, call it neutral position, we're respecting the natural curves of the spine, right? The S shape. So the back of the neck is off of the mat, cervical spine. The upper and mid back are on the mat, thoracic spine, right? That lives in flexion. Your low back is off of the mat, right? Lumbar spine lives in extension. And then your sacrum, which is the bottom of your spine that fits into the two halves of your pelvis, that is touching the mat. That lives in flexion. So here, when you pick your head up and you curl to look forwards at your toes, none of the other spaces or the curves of your spine change. Then you get to flex your upper thoracic more to pick it up. And then you have 12 thoracic vertebrae. So there's quite a bit to bend and flex forwards. And the more you flex the neck, the more that encourages the flex of your thoracic. And then finally, once you feel your butt underneath you, you can start to let your lumbar spine flex. But now we're going into gravity. Okay, so go ahead and if you can touch your toes, but touch something like bring your fingertips onto your shins or bring your fingertips onto your thighs or onto your shins, something that's going to give you support. And I want everyone to just let everything go and bend into gravity, right? Not very comfortable. I felt that kind of just push right into my low back. And I feel so much tension through my hamstrings, so much tension through my calves. Now, can you push down into your fingers, onto your calves or wherever you're touching to give you some support, almost flattening your back so that now the crease is at your hips. And can you flex into gravity with control, which means that you're not just stretching your back muscles or your glutes or your hamstrings, but you're actually trying to stretch as little as possible and to squeeze as much of your abs as you can. Okay. Then from here, you'll start to curl the pelvis to go back. You can let your fingertips reach forwards. Okay, and now our relationship with gravity is changing yet again. Flex your ankles, try to keep your heels down. Okay, now you're going to try to go down to the mat without bringing your hands down, as slowly and as controlled as possible. Feeling your abdominals doing that for you. Right, good. Nice. And then whenever you're there, you let the arms come down by your sides. If you felt a little fall or a little plop, that's okay. Just is showing you where there's a little bit of weakness, lack of control through your spinal articulation. Okay, let's do that again. Eyes are closed, arms out towards the sides of the room. Do something with your feet. You don't necessarily have to flex your ankle. You could totally point the ankle. You could find bird on a perch. You're just trying to do something to connect the farthest piece away from you up into something that's closer to your core. So I'm going to do bird on a perch here. Okay. Eyes are closed. Feel the curves of your spine. Neck off of the floor. Upper mid back, right, on the floor. Low back off of the floor. Sacrum on the floor, right? You curl, pick your head up. You're changing the shape of that curve, but nothing else changes. Push down through your arms. Your thoracic spine already lives in flexion, so you don't have to find too much extra flexion. What I'm more concerned about with your thoracic spine is picking up the rib cage into your abs more than I'm concerned about bending your thoracic spine any more than it's already bent. Curl your chin into your throat, feel your neck, into your chest, into your abs. And then as you come forward, remember your relationship is changing with gravity. This is the downward phase of the squat. So my hands are still behind me, which is helpful. Hands down is going to help to give you support. So push down through your hands. Let that try to stack you up. And instead of letting it stack you up, use your abs to take you forwards. Trying to feel more abdominal squeeze, then back stretch, then glute stretch, then hamstring stretch. Then you'll start to lower yourself back down, feeling the pelvis curl. Arms will reach out towards in front of you. Do something with your feet. And then what's controlling you down into gravity is the active lengthening of your abdominals. You're just trying to find control. Even when you feel like you're going to drop, see if you can squeeze a little bit more to control yourself all the way down. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, arms come down by your sides, and then let your feet, or so let your feet turn from side to side. Let your head turn from side to side. Okay, great. Bend both of your knees here. Turn onto one side. Come back up to seated. Come back up to standing in front of your chair to finish some squats. Okay, so let's put it all together. The feet are very important. They're pushing down to send force and energy up the body, right? Past the knees, up into the hips, past the hips even, up into the spine. Okay, now keep your arms down by your sides, close your eyes. Feel the curves of your spine. The neck is curved forwards. The upper mid back are curved backwards. The lower back is curved forwards. And the sacrum is curved backwards. When you do the squat, you're trying to maintain those curves with a little bit of change through your lumbar curve. It'll flex a little bit of change through your upper back. It'll extend a little bit, but everything's with control. Okay, open up your eyes. You can let your arms come forwards. I like to press my fingertips together. Just it helps to connect something far away to something close. Push the floor away. Big toe ball, pinky toe ball, center of your heel. That should give you a lift that takes you past your kneecaps up into your hips. Let's take that further and start to lift the heels up. So now you're really trying to find active hip extension, lifting the heels, giving you your calves, giving you your hamstrings, giving you your glutes. And we'll start our controlled squat from this upward phase. So now, can you control, whoop, I lost it. Okay. Can you control the downward phase of your heels, which really means controlling how much you're letting your arch stretch. Once you feel your heels come down, push down. Let that bring you up. Start to let the ankles flex, which brings you more into your feet pushing down. The knees will flex as a result. Low quads are preventing you from collapsing into the knees. Glutes are also preventing you from collapsing in the knees because it's keeping you in your hips. You're going to tap your butt. Now, pay attention here. The upper back may have come forward. That's okay. The low back may have rounded, but you just want to be in control. Now, push down through your feet. Stand yourself up, not from your knees, but from your feet to your hips, to your spine lifting up. Spine lifts up so much that the heels are going to lift. That's going to give you more of your active hip extension, right? It's going to pick up your arches. Control the heels lowering, which means you're controlling your ankle flexion and how much your arches flatten. Push down through your heels. Start to feel the ankles bend, bringing more weight into your feet so you can continue pushing the floor away. Glutes are slowing down the hip flexion, and glutes are also preventing you from falling into your knees. You're going to tap your butt. Notice the curvatures of your spine. Push down through your feet. Stand yourself up and against gravity. One more just like that. Pick the heels up. All right, feel that activate the whole back line. Calves, hamstrings, glutes. Okay, control the heels down. Feel that in your calves, your arches. Push your heels down like you're trying to stand yourself up to the ceiling. Ankles bend first. Shin bones slide forwards. That helps to keep the weight in your feet and out of the knees. Hips get to go back, control down through gravity, glutes and hamstrings. You're going to tap your butt. Last time, push down into the feet. All right, let that power up through your hips, up into the spine. Reach the arms up. Take a big inhale. And then exhale, arms down by your sides. Nice. And you guys are all set. And hopefully that last round felt a little different from the first time.
Thank